You're a walkie-talkie company in China, and you look at Motorola's radios and think, damn, that's good tech. Now you have two options. Option 1, hire engineers, spend a decade, build your own thing. Option 2, just hire Motorola's engineers and let them bring the blueprints with them like a very expensive, very illegal doggy bag. Hytera picked option 2, and it cost them over $500 million. This is the story of one of the biggest corporate thefts you've never heard of, with secret file downloads, a courtroom bombshell, and a bill so big it needed its own spreadsheet. Let's get into it. Motorola basically invented the modern professional walkie-talkie. Not the toy version, the version cops, firefighters, and factories use, the your life depends on this thing working version. Hytera, a Chinese communications company, wanted a piece of that market. Building that kind of tech from scratch takes years and a lot of money. Expensive, slow, annoying. So starting around 2007, Hytera found a shortcut. It didn't go shopping for parts, it went shopping for people. Hytera started recruiting engineers straight out of Motorola, not randomly, strategically. People who had deep access to Motorola's actual blueprints and internal secrets. And here's the part that would make any IT guy break out in hives before some of these employees walked out Motorola's door for the last time. They didn't just take their coffee mug in their pride. They quietly copied thousands of confidential files and grabbed chunks of Motorola's actual source code and carried it straight over to Hytera. Basically corporate espionage, except instead of a guy in a trench coat with a spy camera, it's an engineer going, hold on, let me just grab a few files before HR walks me out. With Motorola's own secrets in hand, Hytera didn't just study the tech. They used it to train their engineers, to speed up building their own radios, and then to sell those radios worldwide, competing head-to-head with the very company they stole from. For over a decade, this kept going. Hytera radios started showing up at trade shows. Hytera radios started winning contracts. Hytera radios started looking suspiciously good for a company that supposedly built all this from scratch. Motorola noticed, and Motorola was not about to let this slide. In 2017, Motorola took Hytera to court, accusing them of stealing trade secrets. Later, they added another accusation on top, straight-up copyright theft, because it turned out this wasn't just inspired by, it was line for line. Here's the smoking gun. When experts dug into Hytera's source code, they found chunks that matched Motorola's code almost exactly. Not similar style, not great minds think alike, identical. The kind of match that doesn't happen by accident, it happens by copy-paste. The trial dragged on for 3.5 months, and then the jury came back. The jury didn't just say Hytera was guilty. They handed down a number that made headlines everywhere, around $346 million to cover Motorola's losses, plus another $419 million in punitive damages. Basically, extra punishment money for how badly Hytera behaved. Hytera appealed, obviously. Nobody pays that kind of number without a fight. But when the case reached the appeals court in 2024, the judges made a brutal observation. Hytera wasn't even arguing they didn't do it anymore. They were only arguing about how much they should pay for doing it. The court ended up locking in around $407 million of that bill, sending only one small piece back for recalculation, and even that recalculation didn't go Hytera's way. By 2025, courts had tacked on over $70 million more in unpaid fees, plus held Hytera in contempt for a third time for ignoring court orders. A third time? You'd think a company staring down a 9-figure bill would just comply. Hytera did not comply. And here's the wildest part of the whole saga. At one point, Hytera secretly tried to file a competing lawsuit back in China, in Shenzhen, basically trying to fight the case on their own turf behind the scenes. When the US court found out, they slapped Hytera with a fine of $1 million a day until they dropped it. $1 million a day for trying to sneak around the court, while already losing. At the end of the day, this case became a warning shot for companies everywhere. If you steal tech and use it to sell products globally, you can't just hide behind, well, most of our sales happened overseas. Courts showed they're willing to make you pay for every unit sold anywhere in the world, as long as part of the scheme touched US soil. Translation: steal it quietly, show it off loudly at one trade show in the States, and now you're on the hook for everything, everywhere. So what's the takeaway? Hiring away someone's engineers isn't illegal. Competing isn't illegal, but walking out the door with your old company's secrets in your back pocket? That's a decade-long nightmare and a bill north of $500 million. Hytera wanted to leapfrog Motorola overnight. Instead, they became the go-to example of exactly what not to do. If you liked this one, hit subscribe. This channel digs up the biggest corporate heists, scandals, and courtroom takedowns out there, and trust me, this isn't even the craziest one. See you in the next one.